Hello and welcome to the Strategic Bookkeeper Podcast. Today's episode, I have just wrapped an interview with Glen Senior. He is the CEO of Bizink, which is the world's best in websites for bookkeepers and accountants. Now, today he's talking to us about AI, the big shift that has happened from searching inside Google to searching in ChatGPT. For example, these days I don't use Google much. I do all my searches and everything inside ChatGPT and other large language models being AI, okay? So he's going to teach us a lot. Like he's going to tell us a lot about what's happening and also what we can do to slowly adapt. I really enjoyed the interview, the episode. I asked him to send me the checklist that he'll give you access to inside there. I'm sure you know that this is a topic that's not going away. You'll hear me talk about AI is like a butter knife. You can butter toast or you can kill someone with it, right? I know it's got its pluses and its minuses. I've heard the good, the bad, the ugly. Personally, I feel like I use it in maybe the right way. And so listen up to today's episode because we can't avoid it. We have to learn it. Let's jump in and I'll see you in there. I'm Jeannie Savage, the Strategic Bookkeeper. I've been in practice for 14 years, but more importantly, 5 years in, I achieved a lifestyle practice. This means I scaled my business, could take my hands off the wheel, and draw a nice six-figure income while being time rich. And that's what I call my dream on my terms. I was recently awarded Women in Finance Innovator of the Year, recognizing my book, my podcast, my program, and my impact globally. The Strategic Bookkeeper is my life's work, and the opportunity to help bookkeepers globally achieve the income and lifestyle that sets them free absolutely fills my cup. Please do connect with me on socials at the Strategic Bookkeepers Way private Facebook group or shoot me an email, hello@thestrategicbookkeeper.global. Before we get into today's episode, I want to let you know that the Bookkeeping Practice Blueprint Summit is running over 3 days, August 27, 28, 29. This summit brings you 3 days of incredible content from more than 15 speakers, including me. This is all designed to help you start, grow, or scale your bookkeeping practice. The theme is practice management mastery end to end. So that means win the work front end through to do the work back end. And please stay tuned because in a minute, I'm going to tell you how you can get a free trial of my signature transformation program. Now, this is a rare opportunity and this is not something that I will be offering again anytime soon. I speak to bookkeepers regularly at every stage of the journey. Some tell me I don't even know where to start. Others say I just can't seem to find new clients. Then there are those who are booked but broken, overworked, underpaid, overwhelmed. I have been every stage. And the scaling bookkeepers trying to go from good to great, they tell me they want simple to learn, sell and deliver advisory plus efficiency through systems and so on. Now, that is exactly why I created the Bookkeeping Practice Blueprint Summit to solve those problems, answer those questions, and give you real tools and strategies that actually work. Over 3 days, you'll hear from 15 plus industry experts, including me, all focused on helping you win the work, do the work, and build the kind of practice you envisioned in the first place. One with raving fan clients, high income, and time off. Now, in terms of how to register and attend, you can absolutely attend for free. That is my gift to you. You can get your ticket at www.thebookkeepingpracticeblueprint.com, and we are going to drop that into the show notes. Now, there is also a VIP pass offer, which I absolutely think you should get, and I'd like to explain why. So first of all, I love summits. I attend them myself, and some of them have been absolute game changers for my business. And I truly believe, I know that this summit can be the same for your business, especially with the VIP upgrade. Okay. So here's what you get in the VIP upgrade. So you get ongoing access to all summit recordings. So I personally love this when I buy summits because then I can listen to everything and kind of podcast style, even if they're video presentations. My whole team will use the summit, right? and I can go back and cherry pick what we need, and amazing. So that's the ongoing access. You are going to get a private podcast feed. I'm really excited about this. I didn't even know my team was going to do it. All the content is going to go into a podcast feed that opens in your native podcast app that makes the user experience incredible. And let me tell you, from attending summits where it wasn't incredible, it's going to save you so much time. Next thing, tools and resources for the 3 workshops that I'm personally going to run. So everyone can attend my 3 workshops, whether you're coming in free or you're getting the VIP upgrade. If you get the upgrade, you'll get a workbook, a checklist, and a group coaching call with me specifically to help you implement what you're learning in my workshops. And lastly, the thing I'm most excited about, which is mind-blowing to me, I did not come up with this idea, but I have approved it, and that is a 7-day trial of the Strategic Bookkeeper Transformation Program. And along with that, I have decided to provide the trial members a bonus group coaching call, because I want you all to be able to get support as you go through your 7-day trial in the transformation program. Now, the value of the bonus, I don't even think I can put a number on it. We're saying $3,000 plus. It is incredible. The first release of the VIP pass is going to go out for $57 US, and then it will go up from there. So if you're keen and you go to the link and you register, I just recommend that you grab that first offer of the VIP pass, because that pricing won't last. So if you need to pause this podcast and click the link in the show notes, go for it. Just a reminder, it is the Bookkeeping Practice Blueprint.com. Back to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Glen.
Thank you.
All right, let's get into it. So before I ask Glen to introduce himself, I'm just going to tell my lovely listeners a couple of things from my perspective. So Bizink, I found them a couple of years ago, and I was pretty excited because, in my opinion, Bizink is the absolute best in terms of creating websites for bookkeepers and accountants. And so we were quickly able to work with Bizink. We did a non-disclosure agreement, and they take the done for you collateral that we have inside my transformation program, and they're able to help our bookkeepers inside our program get world-class websites really fast. I think the first one we saw was within days, and Bizink was excited as well because the collateral that we're able to give them, it showed up in a website amazing. And no surprise there, we worked really hard to create world-class collateral and world-class done-for-you brand, right? So that's my history with Bizink. Now, whether you are inside my program or not, you can go to Bizink and you can engage them to create a website for you. The only difference is, if you're a client of mine, you're going to get the proprietary stuff that we give you. And if you're not, you're just going to start from scratch. I was excited to jump on with Glen today because I am really excited about learning on the topic that he is going to share, which is really around the shift in searching for a business, or searching for anything really, from the old Google. I've actually always loved Google. I think it's been really helpful, but the shift to now searching using AI. So for example, I don't use Google much anymore. I exclusively use ChatGPT. I find it easier. I find it really intuitive. I will search for the things that I want to need in ChatGPT. So as you might begin to imagine, this has really changed the landscape for business. Suddenly we've got to shift and figure out we don't just have to be found in Google, we have to be found in AI. So today, Glen is going to educate us all on the fundamentals around that. And so as we get into it, I'd love for you, Glen, just to introduce yourself and share anything that's in your heart to share.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. Really excited to talk to you today. So I'm the CEO of Bizink, as you mentioned, and I've got a background working in the banking industry. So a sister company of Bizink is called the Small Business Company, and we've been delivering content and services into banks across New Zealand, Australia, the UK, and North America. And so we're able to use some of that sort of data and evidence of what's happening across search from that banking industry over into the accounting sector like what is happening. And so we've got quite a bit of information and data across those industries. And what I'm really excited about is the fact that accountants and bookkeepers can start to position themselves for that advisory work. You've got the nuts and bolts of obviously tax and payroll, but as technology gets smarter and smarter at doing those for people, I think there's a massive opportunity in building the advisory sector. And to be fair, like bankers, you don't need a banker to borrow money, right? And so there's a lot of cross parallel between those two industries.
Very interesting. Yeah, look, I'm really excited about that as well. Look, advisory, it was always secretly at the heart and soul of the strategic bookkeeper, but I decided to give them the whole puzzle anyway. But yeah, look, advisory, it skyrockets your customer satisfaction as well as your own profitability. So,
and the thing with SEO, so it's been around for a while, obviously, and people would sponsor and pay for rankings, and there was keywords and meta tags, and that's kind of changing, as you mentioned, where you're more likely to go onto ChatGPT. I use a service called manus.im. Manus is hand in Latin, so it's manus.im. That's really interesting to build out presentation decks and articles and a whole bunch of content. It actually thinks about, so rather than just giving you, here's the answer, it'll go thinking, just a minute, and you can see what it's researching and reviewing. And it's kind of what ChatGPT does underneath the hood. You should try it out. It's really useful. And so what it's doing is, as you mentioned, rather than going onto Google and getting a list of sponsored links or people that have forced higher rankings, AI actually references content that it trusts. And so how do we get that trust content onto the bookkeepers' websites? And they're using trusted content to be a trusted source. And you're much more likely to be put up or quoted inside AI. Last year, I was at a banking conference, and Kathleen Woodard, she's the head of Microsoft for banking in North America. And she did a presentation. There were about 800 people at the conference. And she said, hands up, how many people here where AI has changed their lives? And nobody put their hand up because it hadn't really changed their lives. They were still going to work. They were, normal things, right? And she said, people overestimate a new technology in the first 2 years, and they underestimate the technology in 10. So ChatGPT is only been around for a couple of years. And so her point was, in 8 years' time, you'll all put your hand up.
My hand's already, it honestly has changed. Forget business, like business is business. My father has a saying, nothing big happens in business. For me, all the good stuff happens outside business. But in my personal life, because I use it so extensively, it has had me in tears. It's changed my life. It's been really helpful. And I know it's like a butter knife. You can butter toast or kill someone with it, right? Hand up. I love it.
Yeah, so I think bookkeepers need to start thinking, because it's easy to get your head down in the work and helping your clients, but accountants and bookkeepers do need to start to move towards understanding how this AI works, what content they can put on their website, but also what they can do and help their customers. Bookkeepers have a great opportunity to actually provide information and advice through their channels. So what are they saying to their customers to make them better at using AI, or at least being better at how to embed technology or use technology to better their business? And if you look at the data, so AI has changed even just the last year. From August 24, about 25% of search results we used AI, and in June 2025, it's now 57%.
Wow.
So that's a doubling of AI search results.
We use ChatGPT extensively for business. It's a really great co-intelligence. Yep. But even if I didn't use it at all in business, I would pay for ChatGPT just for my personal, like you say, all my recipes, my mini psychologist, everything is ChatGPT. And it really has changed and, improved my life so far. So yeah, that makes sense. It's incredible, isn't it? And then to think, okay, well now what happens if I Google myself? I feel like that now means search, right? I Google myself in ChatGPT. And we were talking before we pressed record that I did do it for the Strategic Bookkeeper. So I encourage everyone to ask ChatGPT, what do you think of the Strategic Bookkeeper? Because I was really excited how well it presented our mission and why we exist. I haven't done it for my bookkeeping practice at all. I've been too busy at TSB, but this shift that we need to think about making so that businesses can have a chat to ChatGPT all about us or find us.
And for the bookkeepers that are listening, they should do the same thing, right? Because if they're looking for new clients, every new client that is looking to come or needs a bookkeeper is definitely going to Google you. they may Google your business name, but they're definitely going to Google you personally, aren't they?
Yeah, so this is where I think bookkeepers, especially those of us that are in my age group, right? So I'm 53. I think any of us over a certain age, even in your 30s, right, there's a shift that has happened. Like think of the post-pandemic shift for fancy language. So pre-pandemic, what would happen is an accountant would refer you and they'd say, oh, great. And they would come straight to you. They give you a call. That's gone. Right? The pandemic shifted everyone, forced them to get used to being in bed at night at 9 o'clock, searching for what they want and need because we had to go online. And so what I say to my bookkeepers, especially those of us who have existed in a world without as much of this, is you need to understand that now when the accountant says you should go and check out Sally at Sally's bookkeeping services, the first thing they do is Google you or ask ChatGPT about you. There's a new layer. They don't just ring you. And I've heard people that say the accountant recommended Sally, but when I looked at Sally's website, she didn't look very professional, so I went elsewhere.
Yeah, I think the key is that people's personalities or histories are sprinkled across the internet, right? So it's in social media, everything you say and do is kind of captured. And even though you say and do will be picked up by AI. And so therefore the trick now is to make sure you push good content or good comments through those channels. I don't think you should try and boil the ocean. I'm not saying you should spend 3 hours a day on social media and trying to sort of force or create an extra job for yourself, but you should be at least spending half an hour a week and just replying on things and updating LinkedIn and resharing something and joining organizations like yours and communicating to people and just participating in the industry. It doesn't take much. Yep. There are a bunch of things you can do to make the content more friendly. So I've got a couple of things here that I'd just be quite keen to share.
Right.
So one of them is, and this might sound obvious, but having question-based content. So rather than saying choosing a business structure, say, as part of your content, it should be, what's the best business structure to choose? Or how do I pay less tax? It's a good question, right? People love to know.
Yes, I love questions.
Or, how do I avoid a tax audit? It's even better. So,
yeah, is the ATO on your back? Is a good one. Are you behind on the books? I've won a lot of work on that question. Yes. I love questions as headlines, yes.
So that's perfect, right? So that's the type of content you should be creating. So having question-based content is really important because AI is mirroring human questions. And so the more you can avoid, the more you can align your content. So I went on a couple of bookkeeping sites this morning just to do a bit of testing. I went onto the Xero site and had a look. There's one here, drop down services. It says bookkeeping, admin assistance, payroll, accounting support. I know those things. I mean, they're not very exciting, are they? It's just a list of services. But
blending in, not standing out.
Just what I changed that to a question as a drop down. Want help doing your tax return? Yeah, actually. So if you go to your website, maybe after this call, are your main headings questions? Probably not.
Yeah, no, mine are not. We haven't evolved and adapted ours yet either. It's all so new. And for everyone listening, you're at the beginning. It's not too late. So.
And the second thing under that drop down, this one I looked at before had Xero services. That's at XERO, right? So under Xero services, they had a whole new drop down menu about GST returns. But you can do the GST returns like inside Xero. So why wasn't there a mention on that on the Xero page? Another thing to help with AI is to link or to cluster content together. So you publish clusters of content and then AI knows that they're all relevant rather than just having all these silos. That's another good tip. Another one is making sure you link to trusted domains. So I had an example here with a company that was a really good article about relocating. If you want to relocate from New Zealand to Australia, which is interesting, right? Like how does the tax work if you want to move your business across? And one of the questions was if you want to wind up your company and start a new company. One of the items on their bullet points was apply to the company's office for removal from the register. And obviously in reverse, apply to join the company's register in Australia. But there were no deep links to those sites. It was just like text. So if you're going to recommend somebody to go to the ATO or Inland Revenue, provide a link, a deep link to that page.
Oh, so an outbound link.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, amazing. What other tips have you got? I love this.
And before I finish on that tip, don't just send somebody to the company's office main page. because that's annoying. You would send them to the page to deregister.
Yeah, the actual page. Yeah.
So we call them like deep links. You need to deep link.
Yeah, and there's so much you could link to. Like I know I was on the Xero site, I think yesterday, and I saw they've got all those resources. So you could say, for example, if you're stressed about cash flow, Xero software has this really great resource and you can access it here kind of thing.
Yep, correct. And in the same breath, I would suggest you can have your own tools. So you should have your own cash flow template, your own business plan template. Don't use Xeros. Send them to, we call it to the source of truth. So send a deep link when something needs to deregister a company's office. But I wouldn't send them to the company's office to understand how sole traders, partnerships and companies work. I would create that on your page.
Yeah, sure. And you help with all of that, don't you? Like you've got all those proprietary templates that bookkeepers can access to make their own kind of thing, and you build them in stock standard in a lot of your websites.
Absolutely. Every one of our websites has business resource content, including templates and downloads and checklists that address all of those questions. So you don't have to send people away. If AI comes and crawls through your site, it'll see that you're the source of truth or a trusted source. And then when you really need to do something that's actionable or compliance related, then you send them to the ID or the ATO or to the company's office. Best way. Another quick tip is to quote authorship or to author content. So I looked at the same article about moving overseas.
Yep.
Right at the bottom, it had the person that wrote it. I can say it's Alana, but I don't have to say the last name. She's the lead accountant, lives in the sunniest part of the country. Now, I'm not sure if she did write it. Potentially she might have, but she probably didn't. But it's still quoting an author.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So with our websites and our content, we can attribute content to coming from you. You can choose, obviously, which you want to attribute, but you can put people's names at the bottom of content. And that person is trustworthy and has qualifications, then you're going to rank. AI is much more likely to pay attention rather than an unattributed piece of content.
I've noticed that. And I think for bookkeepers, that one could kind of fly over you. And so if I could add my little bit to that, something that I didn't know that I now know, I listened actually to a little speaker in an AI Unlocked Summit that I attended. And the way she put it is she said, profile is SEO, right? And I noticed when I authored my first book, my SEO exploded and I hadn't actually done traditional SEO. You know, then the book is sold in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stores, even Costco, eBay. And so in effect, you've got all of these different companies linking through to you as a human. And so this idea of authored content, even if it's on that level where it's just something and you're linking to yourself being the author of that content, you can start small. You could be, you know, more like me and publish a book globally. It's within reach of everyone to do if you want to do it. You could go right in between and publish a little guide on Amazon, right? I just want to mention that this layer not only gives you profile, but yes, the search engines are going to love it. And then Glen's talking about the trusted content through AI. So I feel like that could have been glazed over by bookkeepers because it's not really where we sit, where we live. We live in bank reconciliations and things like that. We were talking, Glen, today about bookkeepers and accountants naturally. Our psychographics are that we tend to get ahead of ourselves. What I want to say to everyone is come back, stop thinking so far ahead. That's your beautiful problem-solving IQ and why you became a bookkeeper. But if we just come back and take one little step, it really is just about one little step at a time. And let's say you engaged Bizink to have a look at your website or build you a new one. It's about saying, could we do some of that cool, fancy stuff? Because Rome won't be built in a day. But if you, as I said, put the Strategic Bookkeeper into Google, you put it into ChatGPT and you see the amazing stuff that came up. We didn't really intend that. That's come up from all the wonderful content that day by day and little by little, just tiny bits at a time, the team and I are naturally putting out there. So just remember that it will happen one step at a time.
Yeah, I agree. I think taking small chunks and small bites. I mentioned earlier, half an hour a week to do some social media and to post and to comment. Maybe it's an hour a week and maybe it's somebody inside your business that does it.
Exactly.
And now we can cheat, right? So we've got AI that we get. If you go to manus.im, as I mentioned before, and go write me a 1,200 word article on how to avoid tax as a business based in Australia or New South Wales, or you can even narrow it even further. come up with 6 practical steps I can take and go push, then it'll actually generate you that content. Obviously, you still need a human to look at it because you can't exactly, but you could probably spend, based on your knowledge, 15 minutes doing a quick edit, and suddenly you've got an article that you could spit out through social, or you could go longer. But yeah, it's getting easier and easier to put out content. There's an acronym which is EEAT, which people may have heard of before. It's like EAT with an extra E, and that's for expertise, experience, authority, and trustworthiness. And that's what AI engines are looking for. And to be fair, if you wanted a definition of a bookkeeper, they're expert, they're experienced, they know what they're talking about, and they're trustworthy. So you've already got the base. It's not like you're trying to sell snake oil to people passing by. You've already got the building blocks of that search. So now all you need to do is create the content and have the presence. And with Bizink, you don't actually need to have a website with us to get the content. So we've got BizPress and a few content packs. So you can actually bolt on a whole bunch of this advisory content onto your website. You keep your website as it is, that's fine, but we can bolt it in.
Amazing. And now, if it's all right, I'd love to go back over these 5 questions, just if we can cover off maybe even a word or so for each. So in terms of the why or the benefit, what is the main reason bookkeepers should care about this shift from Googling you to searching in something like ChatGPT? Why should they care about it?
Ultimately, if you go into Google now and search for something, chances are there's going to be an AI response at the top.
Oh, yes, Gemini.
And the quote is, a year ago, AI was taking up 25%, and a year later, it's now 57%. So you need to pay attention because twice as many search results are now using AI.
Wow. I feel like I want to try this again afterwards, especially in Google, because I was doing something yesterday and I got a reasonable Gemini response. Normally I use ChatGPT, but I decided I would use Google. And then Gemini sent me to actually quite a good article. So that's fascinating. It's about future-proofing, right? If you don't future-proof, you don't have a future. I know that's a whole rabbit hole. Okay, so in terms of what makes AI friendly versus traditional SEO content, we've talked about a little, but if there was like a top 3 headliners, what would you say?
So AI values trust over adverts, and AI uses trust over keywords and meta tags. The traditional SEO of doing meta tags and keywords, you put cash flow through a page 5 times to try and rank for cash flow. That's not going to hold as much water as it used to. So it's going to look at way deeper. It's going to look at, do you have cash flow? Do you have templates? Are you linking to other organizations that use cash flow templates? Do you have products and services? It's a whole bunch of things it's going to reference rather than just keywords.
Yeah, so it's a real, are you really showing up to help someone with this almost?
Correct.
Yeah.
And the other shift is that bookkeepers need to future-proof, the word you used before, to move into that advisory work as technology slowly erodes the automation of doing people's books.
Absolutely. At the Strategic Bookkeeper, in all honesty, we still show up as bookkeepers in practice. It's still very relevant today. We know the future of bookkeeping is here. That's strategic bookkeeping, which is advisory, which is business coaching. But we see bookkeeping as more the lead line, to be honest. Like, we will still show up, we'll check your file, we'll get those numbers up to date and accurate, we'll rescue you, then we'll finally get you to a point where you're there, and then we'll say, right, well, do you want to actually do better in business? Let's actually go beyond the numbers and help you with what we're discovering you want to need, either in-house or referring you on, right? Honestly, bookkeepers out there listening, from startup to scaling, bookkeeping is now a lead line. If you didn't know that before, it is. Do I still absolutely love it? I love it, love it, love it. Will it be gone one day? Maybe, yeah, but that's okay. If we evolve, it actually has evolved. I mean, of course, I remember 15 years ago, we didn't even have Xero when I started out. It might have established, but we didn't have it. And I come from the manual days anyway. Look how far we've come. And it's only going to evolve now that we've got bookkeeping robots and so on. Bookkeeping is absolutely a lead line, and that's okay. It's just about learning and understanding how to make advisory work for you. And any bookkeepers out there that want my help with advisory, shoot me an email. Say, I want help with advisory, and then I'll point you to some content. I'll explain how we can help, etc. Okay. And then I love what you said about the bookkeepers have already got that EAT in place, because they say to the bookkeepers, be like a doctor, right? And a bookkeeper and accountant, you are like a doctor. You're not there to sell fashion, right? We're in a compliance role. It's serious business. And it's very black and white. I love it with my neurodiverse brain. So bookkeepers are like doctors. People come to us for a serious result, for a serious problem. And there's not so much selling as there is self-assessing into whether you're the right doctor for them, right? So
yeah, I think another good way of thinking about it is nobody goes to a bank to borrow money for fun, right? You don't go and borrow money, put it under the pillow, go, yay, borrowed money, right? You borrow money because you need it for working capital or you want to buy an asset. If you're a business owner, you want to borrow money because you want maybe some capital equipment or there's a big inventory order you want to buy or you want to expand. It's for a reason, right? So you go to a bank website and their drop-down menu say loans, checking accounts. No, people don't want a loan or a checking account. It's what you do with the loan or the checking account. I want to start a business. I want to expand my construction company. So those drop downs are very bank centric. And so my challenge to you as like people listening would be look at your drop downs. Is it payroll, GST returns? I mean, people don't want GST returns. They want it stress free, no hassle, don't have to think about it. You do it all for me, like a one-stop shop.
Yes.
Have a good look because people aren't typing in GST returns. They're typing in, how do I do my GST return or who can help me with my GST returns? The drop down should be, I will do your GST returns for you. Like what's the outcome, not just the topic. And banks are terrible. And if you look at, I would say 99% of accounting and bookkeeping firms, the drop downs are all the same. So it's a real opportunity, I think, to start to change how you talk about what you do to future-proof that search component.
Yes, and the way I talk to my bookkeepers about that is a long-haul flight versus a destination, because I get you, right? I just loathe going for another loan. I'm going to have to do it again. And it's like I've first got to get my tax done. And none of this is like a burning desire. It's a necessary evil. And bookkeeping, which is, as I say, it's a lead line, it's like a long-haul flight. When I go to a travel agent, we don't really even talk about that, but I often have to pay as much for that or more than what I really want, which is the holiday. And the holiday is where the focus needs to be. The bank reconciliation, GST return, the destination is I get to sleep tonight because I'm not stressing. And I've often said there's not much in this world that gives us what a good night's sleep does. Like I just got a 9-hour overnight and I woke up after having this cold and flu I've had. I just lay there celebrating that 9 hours. And there's not much we can't tackle with a good night's sleep. I've actually said to someone once, Glen, I was in Ubud in Bali and I was doing a call for someone, a client needs analysis. And I said, listen, give me a credit card and I'll give you your first good night's sleep in a while. And he said, how did you know? It's like, because I do the work on this stuff. I do the 100 problems exercise and all this. So yeah, I think just to spark that fire in a bookkeeper to start thinking about the benefit of that drop-down box. You know, it says bookkeeping, what's the benefit? And I know that's a big rabbit hole. And you could go and do the 100 problems exercise. My partner and I were just having lunch talking about this stuff. And he said, if I was to tell anyone in business the most important thing, it's this at the beginning. If you can understand this stuff, which I call true brand stuff, and your website is where your brand is showcased, right? It is where we put the brand to connect with your audience. He said, I would just always say, this is the stuff at the beginning. It's not necessarily the colors, the logo. It's your ability to connect with your audience, which is brand, which is showcased in potentially will be your biggest brand asset, which is your website.
I agree. And I think maybe to summarize, if I'm going to two bookkeeper websites, so I'm not sure who I'll use, and one has tax as a drop down, and the other one has forget about paying tax as a drop down.
Ooh, I love it.
You're going to go for the latter, right? So it's just a subtle change in language, but you're talking their language, not your language. And most sites, to be fair, I know that's how it's been. Not always, by the way. As I was looking to do some research, there are some really good sites out there that do speak the right language and have got the right questions. There's a whole bunch where the website has been not a chore, but it's like a business card, right? I've got a website, here it is, you dump your stuff in it. You've left it for 3, 4, 5 years, you pay the monthly or whatever, and it's kind of unimportant or bothersome. But because everybody is now living in an online world, then you do need to start to think about, you either need a new website, refresh, or you update what you've got, or you squish in new content and have more AI-based search terms. So you're sort of modernizing what you've already got.
One of my best performing headlines I had right on the front of a website for our bookkeeping practice was simply, "Are you behind on the books?"
Yep.
Question mark. And then it said, "We're catch-up specialists." And then really quickly, "Here's how you contact us." And then under that again, it said, "Is the ATO on your back?" And then, "We'll handle the ATO." Raised by an international sales trainer and copywriter. It's interesting, that messaging, right? My father tells a story of a sellout Sunday where they had to direct traffic like probably 50 years ago. But it was one headline, and the power of our language that we can convey with a question, with a headline, like you say, this tiny shift from tax to how to minimize tax or whatever it is, this tiny shift is so massively impactful, and it's been that way for forever. So some of these age-old principles will never change, but the application always changes in marketing, which I love because I love change.
No, that's fair. And so if anybody's keen, if they'd like to email me, I can send them an AI bookkeeping checklist. It lists all the things you could be doing. It comes up with some of the questions you could be asking. It talks about some of the research that's changing search. If you like a copy, it's free. I'm happy to send it to people.
I can't wait for it. So I need that one. I'm going to email you myself. My partner needs that one too. We love all this stuff. Final piece of advice you'd like to give to bookkeepers who want to get ahead of this trend like me?
I think probably going back to what I said before is just doing one thing this week. Maybe it's changing one headline. Maybe it's reviewing the content that you've got. Maybe it's, we don't have any templates or tools. Right, let's add in some templates and things for people to download. It could be looking at one page that you've got which talks about GST, and then you also put on a link that references another page inside your site. Maybe it's about Xero or an accounting software. So cross-referencing, just one thing a week, just for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and just building that cadence of action, I think would be the best takeaway. Don't overload yourself. Don't boil the ocean.
No, consistency.
Literally 10 minutes a week, yeah.
Yes, and you won't win the game without a winning team. So consider getting some support. When you engage Bizink, when you engage the strategic bookkeeper, that's team. When you employ someone in-house, that's team. When you get somebody on Fiverr to help you a little bit, that's team. Team is when your 15-year-old becomes so savvy on YouTube, they start advising you and it works, that's team, right? Some of them you pay, some of them you don't. So you just put us on your team today, which is awesome. Glen, thank you so much. I've got so much out of that podcast that's going to really help me and help me help others as well.
No, you're welcome, and really enjoyed talking to you.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay, my friend, now it is time to take action. So what are you going to do with what you learned today? The way I see it, you've got 2 options. You can go it alone to try and save some money, or you can back yourself and go for it and join my tribe. And let me tell you, we are knocking it out of the ballpark. That's not a sales pitch. That is me serving you, dare I say, courageously. To find success, I 100% know you need the mechanics, which is like the keys to the kingdom, but you also need to get your mindset right and be super productive. And these are all things I help you with inside the program. I could go on about this forever because I really want this for you. Have a prosperous week, and I'll see you in the next episode.